Welcome back to Tokyo Ghoul Anime Review Special number 3. This one reviewing is something I promised back in Special number 1, our review of this light novel, Tokyo Ghoul Days. Yep. Written by Shin Tawada and illustrations by the creator of the series, Shai So Eshada. Here's a sample of his illustrations he does. That's just a sample size. Now, in this book is 225 pages long, and there are 6 stories in here. First story is called The Bible. This is a focus on this character Hyde. That's the guy in the green shirt. Yeah, that's Hyde. He's the focus character of this one. Yeah, it's him and his friend of his named Cain, who was kind of and the story is kind of similar to Cain and Abel, where the thing we portray. It turns out Cain is that ghoul. Um, yeah, he's a ghoul, and they're trying to look information on Kaneki. Not much else there. It's a pretty not very long story per se, but it's interesting nonetheless. Next up is Lunchbox, a story focused on Toka. One of 2 stories actually features her in the story. She's also featured in the 5th story of the book as well. It's her and her friend Yonki, I think her name is, where it's all about lunchboxes, and she gets to fight with a girl who teased her at the high school she's going to. And she later got back at her for she didn't hit her per se. She threatened to hit her because she insulted her friend. And I'll think about the zoo and stuff like that. So Kaneki Himawari, who's actually in the story by the way, Kaneki in here is not the focus character of these short stories because he's the main character of the franchise. So why not focus on the supporting characters, which is a terrific idea. Yep. And they take some time off. They leave work early to go to Toka's apartment and they make lunches. They make a lunch for her friend, and she later forgives her for it. It's a pretty interesting story. Good friendship nonetheless. It's a good story. Next one is my favorite story, Photos, because this one was adapted to an OVA featuring one of my favorite characters franchise. Here's him, Shu, and Kemori. Yep, those 2 are the focus characters of Photos. Now, I've already talked about the story Photos thanks to talk about the OVAs. For the most part, the OVA does stick to what's presented in here. Slight changes here and there, but mostly put, it's still pretty much the same story. It's a great adaptation nonetheless, and the short story in here is still pretty good. Though, it's the longest of the 6 stories in here. Yeah. Here's how long each story is in this entire book. The first story, The Bible, is exactly 44 pages long. Lunchboxes is 46 pages long. Photos is 52 pages long. Big City, which is the next one, that one is 36 pages. And the final bookmark is 30, I think it's like 36. And the final story is actually the shortest, being only 12 pages. Yeah. Big City is a focus on a character who I don't remember from the series. It does feature. Let's see if I can find. I can't exactly. He's not on the cover of this book, but one of the supporting characters who appears in the series, who actually trains Kaneki how to fight. Yeah, he's a supporting character in that story, and it's a character similar to Kaneki and some similarities to him, and of course the whole thing about music. It's a pretty good story. The bookmark story is focused on Himori, Toka, and Kenshi, and Kaneki. It's a great story that Kaneki takes her to the library because she'd never been to the library before. And it turns out Himori was never taught to read signs. She basically reads books per se, but she's never been to the library before. And she had checked out a few books. They did cause a little incident, but they later on did save this little boy who was around Himori's age. Did save her from a ghoul, and the guy did forgive her and gave her a bookmark, which was nice. It's a cute little story, and it's my second favorite story of this entire thing. The last one is called. Trying to think of the name here. I had to look it up in here. Last one's called Yoshida. It's about shoes. Yep. It's an okay story nonetheless, but of not much to say about this one. It's just focusing on like there's a bit of Kaneki, and it's focused on Kanazu, who is the ghoul who what was Hyde's roommate in the series. Yeah, it just focused on him. Short story focus on him, but it's my least favorite story of the entire thing. I would say of all stories, my favorite is Photos. My second favorite is Bookmark. I would say my third favorite is probably let's see. I would say my third favorite is Lunchboxes. But those three are my favorite stories in here. So Photos, Bookmark, and Lunchbox are my top three favorites. You'll show you my least here because, well, one is short and it's not very interesting. Big City is an interesting story. I would say it's my fourth favorite story. It's actually tied with Bible. But the stories in here are really good. And if you're a fan of Tokyo Ghoul, you will love this book. Especially if you're a fan of the character Toka or even Shu. Yep. Even Shu. Yep. Even him. I'm going to give this light novel a 8.5 out of 10. It's a good story. It's a good light novel. Great illustrations by the writer. But just that there's a couple stories that are just okay in here. Just the first story and the last one are just okay. Big City is interesting. But overall, there's only three stories in here. And that's the two stories that feature Toka, Himuri, and Kaneki, Photos, and Big City. Those four stories are really good. The first story and the last one are just... first one is okay. Second one is just okay at best. But it's also the shortest one. Alright? So, that's it for this episode. I finally got that done. So, excuse me, for right now anyways, until I get the next light novel, the next episode probably be up maybe tomorrow. Yeah, probably tomorrow when I get the next special up. And that will be on the next chapter of the Tokyo Ghoul manga, which is chapter 159S. I will talk about my thoughts on that because I haven't a chance to read it yet, but you'll get a chance to hear my thoughts on it soon. As for when I get a chance to know a light novel, I don't know. Unlike Naruto, where it has like almost like a dozen light novels, Tokyo Ghoul only released 3. Attack on Titan, I think, released only 3 as well. But I haven't read any light novels for Attack on Titan. But at least Tokyo Ghoul, I finally read a light novel. It's a good one, and it's canon with the universe, which is great. Also, they do point out in the photo story, they didn't pull this up mainly in the OVA, the photo story takes place a few years prior to Chapter 1 of Tokyo Ghoul. Yep. So the earliest chronological story is Jack. All the rest of these stories take place during the course of the series, but Jack and Photos take place before Chapter 1. Yep. Of course, they mention that at the very start of the story. And it's all about Shu and this little girl, Kemuri. Though they do make one change. They do make one major change. In the story, he pulls her back in and tosses her on the floor. In the OVA, he drops her out the window, but he does save her. But that's the only change they make, is basically that one little scene. But mostly put, the entire story is exactly how it is depicted in the light novel. Okay? We gotta mention that. So, until I see you in my next video, which is a comic corner, by the way, I will see you there. Bye.